The wind was cold that morning, the kind of cold that seeps through armor and bone alike. In the misty fields of the Danube frontier, a man stood alone outside his tent, watching the breath of his soldiers rise like ghosts into the dawn. His cloak was heavy, worn from years of campaign. His hair, streaked with silver, framed a face carved by thought rather than vanity. His name was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, philosopher of the soul, and weary witness to the endless dance of fate. He had every reason to rest, to command from marble halls instead of muddy fields. But Marcus chose the silence of war, for Rome was fragile. Barbarians pressed the borders, plague consumed the cities, and betrayal whispered in the Senate. He carried it all, not as a ruler demanding obedience, but as a man searching for meaning. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But that morning, as pale light crept across the horizon, even he wondered, how much can a man endure before strength begins to break? Pain had become his companion, the pain of fatigue, of loss, of endless duty. Years before, he had buried his wife, Faustina, later several of his children. The weight of empire was lighter than the weight of absence. Yet Marcus did not curse the gods or run from grief. He turned inward, to reason, reflection, and the quiet forge of the soul where character is made. He knew what most men never learn: pain is not the enemy. Weakness is. Weakness is surrender, the collapse of virtue, the refusal to bear one's fate with dignity. Pain, in contrast, is the test, the hammer that shapes the steel within. Long before he wore the crown, Marcus studied under stoic teachers who taught that life cannot be controlled. Only our judgment of it can. That no insult, no loss, no hardship can wound the soul unless we open the gate. The soul, they said, is a fortress, impenetrable, unless you abandon it yourself. He carried that fortress into the heart of empire and into the darkness of his own suffering. When plague swept through Rome, killing thousands each day, even his friends and generals fell to fever. Marcus ruled with calm resolve, comforting the dying, writing in the margins of his journal by candlelight. Those writings, later called meditations, reveal not divine confidence, but the trembling honesty of a man fighting despair. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Imagine that. In a collapsing world, Marcus Aurelius sat by lamplight reminding himself, "You could die today. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The Stoics did not fear death. They saw it as a compass. Awareness of mortality sharpens life, like a blade against stone. After one battle, Marcus walked among the wounded. The ground was soaked with blood and rain. Men groaned softly, some calling for mothers who could not answer. He stopped beside a young soldier pierced by a spear. The boy's eyes were wide with terror. Marcus knelt, took his trembling hand, and whispered, "You are part of nature as I am. Nothing that happens to you is unnatural." When the boy's breath faded, Marcus rose and looked toward the horizon. The dawn was breaking again, calm, indifferent, eternal. In that silence, he understood. Greatness is not measured by conquest, but by composure. To remain still when the world trembles, that is strength. Years later, as his own body failed, the pain worsened. Campaigns had aged him beyond his years. His breath came short, his joints burned. Yet he continued to write, not decrees or speeches, but reminders to himself, quiet prayers to reason. He wrote, "Do not be ashamed of help. It is your duty to stand like a soldier on the wall. What does it matter if you lean on others, so long as you hold your post?" That was his essence, endurance with humility, to do one's duty, to face pain without complaint. For Marcus knew, Life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be lived well. He had seen luxury ruin men faster than hardship ever could. Senators melted in comfort. Generals feared failure more than death. Weakness begins not with pain, but with avoidance, with retreat from what is hard. The Stoic path, he realized, is not to escape difficulty, but to transform it. Each loss, each insult, each setback, all are materials for growth. As fire turns wood into flame, adversity turns the soul toward virtue. Pain is the sculptor. Character is the sculpture. At night, Marcus would look up at the stars, the same constellations that guided his ancestors and will outlast every empire. He reminded himself that he too was dust and breath, a brief spark in the endless cosmos. And within that smallness, he found peace. He wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." He never denied emotion. He felt sorrow, anger, weariness, but learned to greet them as visitors. That is the heart of Stoicism, not to suppress emotion, but to master it, to feel deeply but not be destroyed. When word came that his trusted general, Avidius Cassius, had betrayed him and claimed the throne, Marcus did not rage. He did not demand blood. Instead, he said, "Let us give him time. If he lives, he will repent. If he is dead, I will not rejoice." That was not weakness. It was strength in its purest form. To forgive when you could destroy. To show mercy when cruelty is easier. Pain had made him merciful. Suffering had made him wise. As his final illness took hold, Marcus called his son Commodus to his side. The tent was quiet except for the wind outside. He told him, "Do not let the purple robe make you forget who you are. A man's worth is measured not by what he owns, but by what he can bear." He looked to the fading light and smiled faintly. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Those were his final lessons, not for Rome alone, but for us all. Centuries later, his words still echo. Pain is not the enemy, weakness is. For pain is the doorway to strength. Every hardship is a mirror revealing who we are. When we avoid pain, we remain fragile. When we face it, we become free. Today we treat discomfort like injustice, something to numb, avoid, or silence. But Marcus teaches us to see it differently. The sting of rejection, the grief of loss, the fear of failure. These are not curses. They are questions from the universe. Will you endure? Will you rise? Weakness is not the trembling of the body. It is the surrender of the soul. It is the refusal to act with courage when life demands it. So when pain comes, ask yourself, will I flee or will I face it with stillness and steel? When you wake to hardship, remember, you are not being punished. You are being refined. Each trial is an invitation to practice patience, compassion, and strength, the virtues that define humanity. Marcus Aurelius did not conquer pain by escaping it. He transformed it into purpose. When plague consumed his people, he wrote. When war drained his spirit, he led. When grief hollowed his heart, he reflected. He never waited for peace. He created it within himself. That is the message that outlives empires. You cannot choose the world's storms, but you can choose the calm within. You cannot stop pain, but you can stop it from defining you. Every time you rise above bitterness, you honor the stoic within, the same spirit that carried Marcus through the ashes of empire. So when pain visits you, do not curse it. Sit with it. Ask what it has come to teach. Pain does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. Remember his words. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Be one who stands firm in the storm. One who does not break when life demands everything. One who can lose comfort but never lose character. Pain will come, but weakness, that is optional. And when you rise from your trials, when the storm clears and the sun warms your face again, you will understand what Marcus Aurelius lived and died knowing, that the soul grows stronger not by avoiding the fire, but by walking through it with grace. So let the world test you. Let fate shape you. And when suffering arrives, do not ask for ease. Ask for endurance. For peace is not the absence of pain. It is the mastery of it. And that, perhaps, is the highest human art. Thank you for watching Stillness and Steel. If this story brought calm or courage to your day, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more Stoic stories reminding us the storm is inevitable, but so is our strength.